and welcome with Daily Devotions with Pastor Peter. I'm recording from home. Today is actually the day before Election Day, and so one of the things I want to say for today is for us to spend some time praying for the elections and to know that God is in control of all things, no matter what happens. All we need to know that is we need to do what God has called us to do, which is to love Him, love others, and trust that He has us has our interest in mind, and there's nothing to worry about. And the reason why I say this is because in Joshua chapter 21, it talks about the allotment for the Levites, which was the group of people, the tribe that would take care of the tabernacle. They're in charge of worship. And so in chapter 21, verse 43, and to the rest of the chapter, this is what it says. 41. So the total number of towns and pasture lands within Israelite territory given to the Levites came to 48. Every one of these towns had pasture lands surrounding it. So the Lord gave to Israel all the land He had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. And the Lord gave to them rest on every side, just as He has solemnly promised their ancestors. None of their enemies could stand up against them, for the Lord helped them conquer all their enemies. Not a single one of all the good promises of the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything He had spoken had come true. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that God follows through. He cares for the tribe of Levi, the tribe that would take care of the tabernacle and the people. Even though they don't have their allotment of land, they had towns. And the key thing here is the people who serve God and committed themselves to God had towns to live in and pasture lands to sustain them as well too, apart from all the other things that they receive and that they get. And God takes care of His own. And when we are afraid of doing what God calls us to do, that becomes a little problematic, because then it just pretty much says that we don't trust God. And we don't trust God, that becomes a problem, because then we won't have rest. See, God gave people rest. God gave people towns to live in, the people that He's chosen. He's given them towns. Wherever we go, whatever happens in our life, God sets them up for us to experience. And the question for us is, do we believe that God has our best interest in mind? Or do we believe that we have our best interest in mind and we could do better than God? That's the key thing here. The Levites trusted in God. They had to, because that's what God told them. But for us now, who are the royal priesthood, who are called to do what God has called us to do we trust that God has our best interest in mind better than we have for ourselves? Because as we see here, with the obedience that came, the Lord gave to Israel all the land He had sworn to give them. And the thing for us is, if we follow God, what He swears to give to us is what? John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him will not perish, but have eternal life. That's the promise. And it's only a matter of time before we get there, but the question is, do we believe in Him? And I think that boils down for all of us too. Many of us go to church, but not many of us truly believe and take hold of the promises of God. The question for us is, what's holding us back? Why can't we trust in Him? Why can't we do what He calls us to do? Why are we so stuck on our own desires and thinking that we know what's best for ourselves? So that's something to think about as we struggle throughout the day. I mean, I've talked about this several times to many different people. But when we look around and we look at the things that God has blessed us with in our lives, He's blessed us with so much. The beauty of everything that is around us, we can't replicate, we can't recreate, we can't come up with at all. It's something that He's given us. And there's no way we could ever repay Him back except for trusting in Him, that He has our best interest in mind. I say air is something free that God has given us to breathe. Oxygen, water is something that's free God has given us to drink, to sustain our bodies. And yet, when was the last time we really said thank you to Him by trusting in Him? I think all of us in the world, we fall into that sinful trap. I think when all have sinned, fall short of the glory of God, It's because we haven't given thanks to Him, and everything that we do is out of selfish ambition, not giving thanks to Him. So as we look back in this passage, I want us to be reminded that if God has called you into ministry, or if God's called you to be part of the church, you and I, we both have a responsibility to fulfill, to trust in Him, and to do what He calls. And the only way we can do that, by reading His Word. So that's it for me from today. You can read the rest of the chapter if you like to. It's a lot of more details about geography and what they were given and the properties and land and stuff like that too, and I'm not going to get into it. But I just wanted to share that last section, that if God has called you out, trust in Him, because He will hold you. The world may turn against us. Everything may go wrong, but His promise will be fulfilled. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.